consider Blade Runner,
Uh-oh.
one of the essential sci-fi films of the 80s. The film is on paper about a...
Why did he say that? One of the essential sci-fi films of the 80s. Why did he say one of the essential sci-fi films of all time?
It also just feels weird because
true. It's just a...
the 80s.
This is obviously like a Mediasphere video, and it's like Blade Runner. If you haven't heard of it, it's like, shut up.
Yeah, give me some credit.
The 80s. The film is on paper about a police officer, Deckard, a Blade Runner, hunting down rogue androids, known as replicants, from space. He finds them, exterminates them, and then runs away with a woman he is infatuated with who also happens to be a replicant. On paper, this sounds
You said on paper twice now, which is odd.
remarkable. Cliche almost.
That's your subjective opinion, and you are welcome to have it, I guess.
All right. Okay.
Well, but this is just
So
the
much
point.
of
His
the
whole thing of
story is
like plot is not the part that we should care about. We should talk about what it means, all of it. But like he keeps using plot in the way I was talking about. Like describe the plot of the Matrix. Like guy breaks out of a system that was meant to keep him, restricted and in battery form to power some machines. You're like, is that it? You're like, well, I could go on, but I won't because I'm trying to make plot summaries sound stupid.
Yeah, that's right.
Sounds unremarkable. Cliche almost. So much of the story is told, however, through subtle means outside of the main plot. For one,
what do you mean
Deckard
outside of the main plot?
Why is it outside the plot?
I don't... What do you mean by that?
It's in the main... Everything... basically everything in a way... It depends on how you definition. You might say that everything exists within the plot, because the plot might be... You might take a broad approach to what you consider the plot to be in a film, and you might say that some things exist outside the plot because it's emergent from a thing that happens, and that... but this is basically starting to get into what you define things as.
Well, yeah,
Doesn't get us any closer to learning about bad media criticism, that's for sure.
If the entire thing is the story, and we split down into like the four of character, plot, world, and theme, arguably those categories are very arbitrary. Some of the lines between some of the things are actually difficult sometimes to say. For example, the difference.
Yeah, they're arbitrary but incredibly useful.
Absolutely, yeah. And you can subcategorize further, right? Like individual characters, and then maybe if some characters have like particular investments, you could say this is the sequences in which they operate on these motivations versus others. You can keep subdividing over and over and over and over. But him being like, I get, because one of the first thing he said was like expressions on the characters, strictly not plot, and it's like, well, it takes place as a result of plot elements in the plot. You know what I mean? Like it's like, so why are we what are we doing?
Yeah.
I tend to define plot in terms of it is like the causal chain at the center of a film, right? So it is the link of cause and effect that takes you from the start of the film to the end of the film, and an expression can be a link in that.
For sure.
An expression could easily be a link in that, because an expression can cause a resultant like action in another character. It can indicate something to someone.
It's funny because if you describe the way he did Blade Runner, it's like immediately he's like, oh, I wonder how the character's going to react to this. Like after he did all the actions of, I don't know, destroying all the other bots and just falling in love with another one. It's like, oh, there's like a lot of character things you can do and themes you can go with. Like, it's not like I'm going like, oh, that sounds boring, I'm not going to watch this. I guess that depends on the person who hears that thing, right? But, like, for me, well, like, oh, that actually sounds kind of interesting.
What's weird now is, like, I have lots of celebrations for every aspect of storytelling for Blade Runner, but the way he's describing it, it's like, the plot is kind of lame if you think of it. It's like, what the f*** are you talking about? What?
He does kind of frame it that way. He seems to be, if anything, very dismissive of the plot, which I don't appreciate myself.
Also, in the framework of this video, does it mean he thinks that's all like we, for example, talk about? Like, oh, look, this is only doing this, and this. And somehow we talk like hours about this very, very small portion, well, not a very small portion, but this one portion of media criticism you can do. Like,
what's interesting to me is this, like, it feels like this whole section is built on nobody got referenced. He made up a group of people who care only about plot, and he's going really far with this when he couldn't even give us one example.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, they're countless. So far, they're everywhere. We all know them, and it's like, guys, we have checked out many reviewers in our time. I don't know a single one that has uttered the phrase, all that matters about a story really is plot.
If anything, we see the opposite of that.
Yeah, mostly the opposite.
The plot, it doesn't matter at all.
Yes.
And it's all about the themes to the exclusion of anything that may inform the themes, like what happens in the plot or what decisions the characters make or whether the world building is coherent.
The way that a lot of these people describe movies and media in general, but it happens to be movies most of the time, is that the film itself is almost like this vestigial piece of baggage that's only used to prop up some meta message. And I really hate that idea. Like the artistry and everything that goes into the production of The Thing is just chaff almost compared to what it can produce
what's the point
externally.
of writing a plot and writing your characters when you could just declare what you think about the world? Or declare like your perspective on a particular piece of philosophy. Like what is the artistry for if you could just say it and then that's all that matters?
You can't say that only the bullet matters, not the casing or the gunpowder or the primer. Like, no, you can't just like jettison everything else and say that only this is the part that even matters, the part that goes forward and everything else is left behind or discarded. It's a bizarre way to look at media, and I don't know how anyone can like justify that. I mean, I guess they're of course welcome to have that opinion. It's just a really shitty opinion to have.
The main plot. For one, Deckard always looks miserable. Hunting replicants is never shown to be exciting or thrilling. One replicant runs.
It literally is shown to be exciting and thrilling in the movie. I mean, he's chasing people, he's fighting people, he's frantically trying to catch someone as they're running, he's in a fist fight with one of them. There are exciting and thrilling moments in this movie that are directly, like, integral to what his job is.
I think I would...
This is a bizarre thing to say. It's not meant to be triumphant, like, this scene in particular is not meant to be a triumphant moment of, like, yeah, you got it, good job. It's more like, oh.
Yeah, I think this is like a wording issue.
But he didn't say that.
Yeah, Rags is right. Because I was gonna agree with it, but then I was like, to be fair, he's used the wrong words because of course this is thrilling.
Yeah, it's not the right word.
Yeah,
the word is meant to be that it's not meant to be like cathartic. It's not meant to be.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be thrilling. Not thrilling. Damn it! It's not meant to be. It's not meant to be.
Well, what you said earlier, triumphant. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. We're supposed to feel very conflicted when the replicants die. We're supposed to be like, oh.
Yeah. And then he's like, because after this, he has to fight Leon, basically. So that's another thing. And then he has to get, then he's saved by Rachel, and like this is a thrilling sequence of events. It's probably apart from the end.
Because the character doesn't want to do something. I mean, like Iron Man doesn't want to fight Thanos, but it is thrilling to watch him
It's
fight.
exciting.
Also exciting.
Yeah. It's meant to make you go
before
like,
being
whoa,
gunned down. The final replicant, Batty, chases Deckard across the city and ultimately saves him.
Such a gorgeous movie.
This movie.
All right, we'll roll him back. I'm fine with rolling him back and such that we see more visuals from Blade Runner. I'll be fine.
Runs from Deckard.
Though it is awkward, it's just like from movieclips.com.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, there's the second time there was like another clip with like another trailer.
You can crop that out. It's very easy, yeah.
Yeah, it would be super easy here.
The final replicant, Batty, chases Deckard across the city and ultimately saves him before
across the city is a bit of a stretch, but
maybe not.
He chases him upstairs, but okay.
Also, remember, this sequence was about how there are things outside of the plot that need to be referenced. I feel like I was about to guess that he was doing the making fun of plot summary people the way he was describing this. It sounds so robotic. And it really sounds like he's the one that saw this film and other people haven't, the way he's described. It's like the last replicant, Batty. It's like, why are you saying it like that?
I mean, unfortunately, I'm getting a vibe of like, do you care that much about Blade Runner, or is it just, and are you like in a Chris Duckwood situation of you're supposed to like it?
It had to be Blade Runner as well, so
yeah,
shown to be
really
exciting and thrilling. One replicant runs from Deckard before being gunned down. The final replicant, Batty, chases Deckard across the city and ultimately saves him before talking about the nature of life and passing away.
I've seen
copyright.
Okay, but like,
Hey,
we have seen this. I think like everyone's seen this.
Well, Oh, hey, look, right? If we needed the context for all of those other clips, then maybe we should assume that somebody watching this
Well,
video
we know this back to
doesn't know
front,
anything
though.
about Blade Runner.
Like, we know this clip, so we'll be fine if we butcher it through copyright protection. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, he's
What a
saying things
great
you people
monologue,
wouldn't
dude.
believe.
Don't believe.
Like chocolate and poo.
Fire off the shoulder
Yes,
of Orion.
or poo in chocolate.
Either way.
Lost time like tears and rain, or rain and tears.
Yeah, alright. Now what does he got?
We're shown
trains-
these dark,
trains and
crowded
ears,
streets,
who knows?
promoting life on
that's
the
that's all
off-world.
he played. All right.
Wait,
Oh,
Just like
if
I've
these...
seen things. All right. Anyway,
Clip. He's
like,
got
if-
the clips. He had to download them.
If these are all things that are outside of the plot, I'm not following at all.
This
We're
is the
shown
plot.
these dark-
Two characters having a conversation is the plot.
Especially if it regards, like, the motivation to make an event happen or not happen. Like, you would include that in a detailed synopsis where you want someone to understand the events of the film. Surely you would. Now,
Because the
I
point
understand...
of this
This is what I meant about the crossover between character and plot, where it's like, you know, Frodo's decision at the end of Lord of the Rings, is that a plot or character thing? It's like, well, I guess it's both. You would include that in the synopsis if you're doing a start to end. He's like, you know, character chooses
it's
to
how
do
world
X, Y,
building
thing.
and
Yeah.
the setting intercepts with why do characters do things. The emergent result of that is the plot is that these things happen because how characters intersect with their world. And like if we take the tears and rain at the end of Blade Runner here, it's why is Deckard alive to have this conversation? Because Roy Batty saved him. Why would Roy Batty save them? Well, it's because Roy Batty's explaining part of this to him right now, and it all intersects together. It's hard to really, if it's basically impossible to take one thing out entirely, because it's all related. It all goes together. It's like your own life and how you interact with, whether it's a YouTube video you're watching or the weather or your daily commute. Everything it's all linked. How you do all these things, and a movie's the same way.
Someone super chatted, why is it wrong for him giving a plot summary of a movie not everyone has seen in a 40-year-old movie? So what we said was, one, it's strange that he's approaching this as though no one knows what Blade Runner is, and then secondly, doing such a bad job of summarizing its plot.
Yes,
So, like, it's like
as
the
a
worst
Blade
of
Runner
both
lover,
worlds.
I have an issue with his,
I could-
albeit short,
Yeah,
description of events.
I could buy him skipping over a summary, being like, we all know Blade Runner. I'd be like, some people don't, but that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
But
fine,
had
yeah.
he instead been like, you know what, I'm going to pretend no one knows what it is and explain what happens, and I'd be like, that's also fine too. I just feel like he did the shit version of both.
Dark, crowded streets, promoting life on the off-world colonies. We're seeing an overpopulated city and the promise of somewhere better. We learn also that
Do they say it's overpopulated or just that it's busy?
I mean, I'd have to rewatch to be sure on that, but I was just going to bring up how it feels weird that, like, these are what I would probably classify as world-building elements that are strong, but...
I agree.
Like, what
Sounds like
is he?
world-building to me, yeah.
Is he revealing to us that world building is a part of storytelling as well? Because yes, of course, no one really knew that.
Yeah.
This specific element is, depending, because I don't know the script by heart, of course, but if the movie never says that the city is overpopulated or there's too many people, but we see very busy streets and things are pretty packed in, then the world building might lead us to believe that, I think the city is, overpopulated. So it's almost like ironic being this video that he's been able to extrapolate that.
these colonies are being built primarily through the slave labor of the replicants, who are given only 4 years to live. And many replicants are so human that it's almost impossible to tell them apart without exact tests.
Yeah, like it's interesting that it seems like he's trying to present this as, see, I'm providing a much more like developed perspective on it. It's like you're still just
saying the plot,
pretty basic
yeah.
facts about the
really
film.
thin.
And
Yeah,
early on, he was dismissive of the plot, but now it's like he's describing the plot with more detail and interest.
I
and it's
legitimately
like,
have to ask him, does he think the average person's assessment of what happens in this film wouldn't include any of this? Really?
Or that somebody who was just focused on the plot would be like, yeah, it's just a cop and he shoots robots and then he falls in love with a robot at the end.
Yeah, like, who are these people? Where are they?
Yeah.
I almost feel like that's closer to what Chris Stuckman would do than anyone else we've come across.
Oh, definitely.
That's
yeah.
true, yeah.
And some of these replicants don't even realize that they're human.
Yeah, like this, like
Wait.
he's saying this like,
Wait,
oh,
what?
look at
No.
how-
Wait a second. What? No, scratch that.
Listen to that again.
Hold on a minute.
Without exact tests. And some of these replicants don't even realize that they're human.
I mean that they're robots.
Some of the replicants don't know they're human.
They don't know they're human.
Dude, did you like not watch the video?
My life is a lie.
Whoops.
I want to be a
14
robot.
48 minutes out of your life for one proof watch.
Come on.
Seriously?
Come on, man.
You missed. It's like it's a funny little slip.
It's funny, yeah.
Considering how insanely important and integral this one element is to the
Yeah, I know.
concept, it is actually like doubly funny that he fucked it up.
It's like the worst 2 words to flip in any statement about Blade Runner. Like, whoops. Oh.
I love it. This is very entertaining.
Yes.
Now back
She
to the
doesn't know.
dogs.
She's beginning to suspect, I think.
Suspect? How can it not?
The copyright demons
It's
come for the
copyright
screen.
because there's a bonsai tree and it's lovely over there.
Deckard, where'd you get that coat? I think it's fabulous. I'd like to get one myself.
It's nice coat. Well, he's got that really thin tie, which I don't really care for the look of. I like it when they get a little bit, thicker at the bottom.
I think I agree.
Once again.
He's got
that
style,
that polka dot. Yeah, it's definitely a vibe with the sort of the way that people wear clothes in this, and like you could see his undershirt, the button down shirt. It's black, but it has like the dots on it, and it's very obvious. It's not like subtle. The brown jacket, dark shirt with the spots, like the red and black thin tie. It's a mood. It's a mood.
It is.
I like it. I dig it. It's kind of like how it was in the Red Letter Media video recently talking about Andor. They had mentioned that in the show there is this appreciation of the 70s aesthetics in terms of people's fashion and haircuts that Andor kind of adheres to in a way. You see a lot of those sort of throwback fashion elements to tie it to the original trilogy. And I'm like, yeah, some of the stuff's really neat. And look, the bow tie here and the upturned collar, and it's just the slick hair. It's a mood, man. Look at this guy.
Someone said Pillar of Garbage is advising him on how to handle the hate from you guys. So here's a huge piece of advice. Number 1, stop being a piece of shit to people. Stop taking them out of context. Stop making up bullshit about everybody, and stop YouTube critics are lying to you. This video has been embarrassing. Like,
this has been pretty embarrassing so far, and we're just like a fifth of the way through.
Exactly. Like it's like, you guys are mean. It's like, what the f are you? What is this?
You're a lying piece of ass shit. Now let's go.
Let's see what else you got to say about Blade Runner.
A blanket plot summary would overlook these key details of the film.
Yes, because it's a blanket plot summary. Duh.
These details of the film is basic shit imaginable.
I don't even
basic observations about
please
the film.
just show me the review that doesn't talk about anything interesting about Blade Runner.
It says Blade Runner is about a cop who robots and then he loves a robot. The end.
I thought it was okay.
No, you have to talk about 3 minutes about who directed it, who stars in it, and the production.
Right.
And you have to say it slowly and annoyingly.
As if the idea that even if you were to focus on the plot, that somehow blinds you to everything else going on in the film. That seems to be the implication. As if you can't acknowledge that there is more going on in the film than its plot while paying attention to whether or not the causal chain at the center of the film is intact.
If it's even possible, because by telling people about the plot, Roy Batty saves Deckard from falling off the building. It's like, oh, so we're talking about characters now and character decisions.
Yes.
It's like, no, we're talking about plot. Even though we're talking about character
what
decisions.
you're touching on there to me is kind of just how humans assess stories in the most normal way ever. And he's gone so autistic, he's completely forgotten that's how it works. Because I give you the world of Blade Runner, and then I describe a character called Deckard who's doing things, and then he goes places, and you're like, oh, so he's on plot, and then I bumps into other character, describe character, then the difference between those two philosophically, maybe I start discussing themes, go back to plot, move them forward. To be yes, to remove all of the other things and just talk about plot, it's well, it would be goofy to only talk about characters and not mention anything that happens in the film. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
why are we pretending?
Potentially impossible.
Yeah, just if there's a film where you only said, I really like the character and the other character too, they're funny and they're interesting, 10 out of 10. You're like, what? What happened? What did they do?
Events occur for approximately 2 hours.
Yeah, that's not really important. I just watch it for the character. And you're like, it's not an impossible review. It's just it would be goofy no matter what if you remove, like, not mentioning the world it takes place in at all. I feel like that's possibly the most likely video that would exist. But why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you talk about the world of Blade Runner in the middle of analyzing it? I don't. What do I mean? We've spent so long on this section to address people who I just don't think exist.
That's why there's more to a film than its plot.
Obviously. Like, what?
Yeah, we know.
Obviously.
Quite an experience to live in fear, isn't it?
Copyright.
That's what it's like to be a slave. Yeah. Yep, that's the movie. It's really good. It's really
That's
great.
what it is to be a slave.
Yeah.
Now,
He says
I'm
the
not
thing.
here to talk about Blade Runner.
He just stuck that in for no reason. Just
You
remember
barely
Blade Runner
talked
is
about
great.
Blade
Yeah.
Runner. You barely talked about it, so calm down.
Maybe he will.
One time.
Today. But I can if you ask me to. The point of
I don't want to hear you talk about it.
Okay.
I think he would do a shitty job.
Mhm.
I'd rather
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about Blade Runner with my friends, with you being completely removed from the scenario, actually. So,
How about
go
we
away.
talk about Blade Runner? You can listen.
Is he
There we go.
holding his mic, or is he just like
think
has
so.
his hand around
Oh,
it?
could be either, I guess.
this little exercise to
Oh,
highlight
he's holding
I
it,
think
yeah.
he's holding it, yeah.
how little
Okay.
some people engage with media outside of the plot.
Like who? Tell me who.
I like that. That's what he says when really all you did was just emphasize how little you engaged with it when you thought that you were engaging with it on a deeper level.
This is boring. Give me examples. Like,
I am bored. I'm very bored.
I'm just like appealing to this mysterious
Rainey
ghost.
being bored is not part of the plot. That's a character issue.
Oh,
That's
shit.
No, that is a character issue. Yeah.
In fact, studios realized that audiences might not pick up on any of this. Any of the story, all this stuff beyond the plot.
It's not. You mean the themes specifically when you say that, because they picked up on plenty of story. Because story is all encompassing. It's the whole event. That's what the visual medium is providing to us.
It's impossible if you've consumed the story. How can you not pick up on it in any way, shape, or form whatsoever?
And what happened to everyone having a valid point of view? Where did that cut? Where's it gone?
Because that disappears very quickly.
It's just
in
gone.
These types of like video essayist videos.
Yep.
Last night when I told you guys the little anecdote about how my mom randomly mentioned that she saw Madam Web and thought it was bad, the way that she was sort of like
Face
very
drags them.
briefly explaining this is part of the deep lore from last night on this channel. But the way that she explained like how terrible the beginning was she was talking about the things the characters did in her plot. Little mini plot summary, and I'm like, oh, see, people do it without even thinking about doing it because it's just so intrinsic to one another.
Yeah.
They wouldn't pick up on. That's why they forced Ridley Scott to make Harrison Ford spell out the subtext to audiences in one of the most widely criticized elements of the theatrical cut.
This video is so boring. This is like the most boring observations that every single time it's like, God damn, I know where you got this from. This is like the most boring observations you can make about Blade
Well, and also,
Runner.
how does this help his point when it's like they felt they needed this for vast amounts of audience members because they weren't picking up on the story? This thing that everyone doesn't like.
Yes, interesting. Interesting.
That
Stroking
everybody
my
doesn't
little,
like
my
it.
little chin fluff.
Yeah, what studios
Interesting.
realized the audiences don't get it, so they put in a thing that made everybody mad because they all got it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Also, this video called "YouTube Critics Are Lying to You." I feel like we've gone way out to left field
we
here,
have.
and we have
He's spending a
totally
long
have
time on
this
this
crazy
part.
Blade Runner tangent.
Yeah, I miss the random injections of YouTubers. Bring it back.
Recreational. They don't advertise for killers in a newspaper.
Yeah, this is it. He talks over it to let you know how he's feeling.
Harrison
and thinking.
Ford's bored, exhausted narration.
You could have done that again.
This is a bored exhausting narration.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Where he just tells you what's happening in front of you.
I'd quit because I'd had a belly full of killing.
I just don't know what are you proving by playing these clips?
I'm thinking about something funny. I don't remember what it was. I remember it was like a little factoid that was about Blade Runner. I just noticed because of the Coca-Cola sign that like of all of the companies that were prominently featured, like Coca-Cola is the only one that was left because Pan Am was in Blade Runner
Atari,
like prominently
right?
and they shut down.
Are they out of
Atari
business?
was in it prominently and they shut down. basically every company except for Coca-Cola that was prominently advertised as being like a company of the future is like either greatly diminished or doesn't exist anymore, which is kind of funny.
It looks like it's owned by a French company, Atari SA, through a subsidiary named
Atari's gonna make a comeback.
You got to make when you try to figure out what's happening in the future. You know, like which companies are going to survive? It's 1982. Yeah, Atari, they got a real good shot.
In a way, though, it's kind of it's kind of more interesting, actually, in a way that they did go out of business when they were thought to.
I think it's interesting because it says a lot about like what the vibe was. Because of course, like very prominent a lot of like Japanese media in Blade Runner because it was the 80s, right? That was like the boom of the Japanese economy when it was very much the thought at the time Japan might actually overtake the US in terms of the size of its economy. But then the 90s happened. You know what I mean? So it's like it's like a look at the future from a very specific point in time, which is really interesting in terms of what were people thinking at the time, like what would the future look like?
No.
It's just neat.
I'm still waiting for Jaws 19. We'll get it someday.
I'm waiting for all those flying YouTubers that I shouldn't watch.
It's in my dreams, Jaws 19. Directed by which one was it? Which
Daniel Spielberg, I think. Daniel?
Yeah.
I'll settle for Steven Spielberg, though. That'd be good enough.
But then I'd rather be a killer than a victim. And that's exactly what Brian's thread about.
You know what's interesting about hearing this is that I'm so unfamiliar with the theatrical version of this movie that this is basically all new to me because I've only really watched like the director's cut. So
I think to film
this is all new to me because I actually haven't seen
to
Blade
film
Runner.
people. It's just a famous thing about there's many cuts of Blade Runner, and one of them has a series of explanations about what the fuck is happening from Harrison Ford throughout, where he sounds like he wants to kill himself while reading them. It's funny and just not liked by many people.
Someone in chat said Red October versus Jaws, and it made me laugh. The showdown of the century.
And at the end, they have to team up to fight the Meg.
The Meg.
Very quickly into the movie, you realize that Jaws is just basically a normal shark, and Red October is a nuclear submarine.
Doesn't even realize he's
now
there.
It just sounds like the new Godzilla Kong movie. They have to team up to fight the bigger shark.
What we're all waiting for.
And they got to give Red October a power gauntlet, like a big glove that he can use to grab
once they
like a giant
once they
squid
recharge
and throw
him
it.
they got to recharge him by blowing up the nuclear bomb next to his face. So.
About little people meant.
This is widely seen as a big mistake. That being said,
crazy. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Wow.
Big think.
Some bad media critics might need this.
You might need it.
Who?
Okay.
Tell me who. Give me names.
But like, how is this not the peak of pretension? When you're like, you think you're objectively correct about something in a movie, but I could just outright claim you need help. You need a helmet to watch movies. I don't.
This is a very smug smile right now.
Oh, he's on top of the world looking at these retards only talking about the plot. Those ethereal straw men who exist out in the fields. We've never seen them, but they're out there.
Give me their names. Tell me who they are. So because if you want me to avoid who they are, you need to tell me who they are, or else I won't know. I'll fall into the terrible trap.
And
also, what about
just thinks that it's Shad, just a robot? You know, all the people he used earlier.
Maybe.
I'm assuming they just are all they're this now.
But then
makes it much easier, doesn't it?
Show me some people, show me the context, show me where they lied, give me proof that they lied, and not just misunderstood what was happening in the movie. Because you know what, that can happen.
Well,
that can happen a lot.
What's being said here about why they would need it? It's like, well, that means they're definitely not lying, right? You're saying that they're stupid, that they don't understand, that they misunderstood. Rather than they deliberately got it wrong.
What you could do is you could go through a bunch of maybe reviews of Blade Runner, and then find the people who reference Deckard's little inner monologue thingy here, and then maybe don't criticize it or use it as a point of reference to explain how he's feeling or the plot or something. I don't know. The problem this video falls into that terrible trap. It's a massive pit that people fall into of you do realize you're trying to convince people you're correct, right? And the only people who are gonna think that this is good or the doorknob-licking retards who already are on your side, right? You're not doing any work to convince people on the outside that your position's correct. You're not doing anything. So maybe you should work a bit harder to convince people that you're correct. Because you're not doing a good job.
We've done really in 11 minutes. What has he given us? It's like, well, he's shown a bunch of out of context clips of people. He said that CinemaSins got 3 things wrong about Kong Skull Island when 2 of them were jokes. He said that
one of them was,
of all the people,
but
all the people who focus on plot miss the point of films like Blade Runner. But he can't show us any examples of these ethereal people. Who I kind of want to see that meme now of the detective who's like, "Are they in the room with us right now?" And he's like, "There they are in the corner."
Are those critics in the room with you?
It's just like, yeah. So we've gained nothing at all.
They might not get the plot otherwise, unless it's spelled out to them by a bored Harrison Ford dragged back.
My God.
That's what I mean.
Calm down.
How is he the good
There's
guy?
better going to be some examples now, because
what the deal with these critics is that they need to prove to the world how smart they are. Those retards, they need the plot explained to them.
They need it spelled out. It's like, okay, Jesus,
not like me though.
God.
I just love that, because like the playbook, right, especially after we've covered this video, will be like, I am being attacked rudely, ad hominem, all the stuff, and it's just like, your video is filled with insults, my dude. I guess you just didn't notice. The thing Fringy talks about all the time. He was soft-spoken about it.
It's tone. Yeah, be soft. Don't swear. Never swear. Never, ever, ever swear. Because if you gotta say it in nice words, and you can say nicely the most horrible things, and people won't even notice. But if you say like, "Man, that was a bit dumb, wasn't it? That was a bit stupid," it'll be like, "Whoa!" Seriously, it is actually like crazy.
Yeah.
And remember, he's gonna be like, all I said was that you're like grifting liars who try to push forward like blah blah. It's like, but you said, like, just like, oh yeah, it's fair enough.
4 o'clock in the morning to read a script.
Just out of curiosity, if a landmass has this much of a reputation, why is it just now being discovered?
Because if
is that your proof for a person who only sees plot?
Maybe.
Like I said, CinemaSins is a really bad example from the get-go, because the channel is deliberately the thing that he said, like, he's doing almost dishonestly, going into movies to dislike them. It's like he's going into movies to poke fun at them. He assumes you have fun with it. It's like his whole thing. I think he should be accurate when doing so, and I'm happy for us all to encourage him to do so, but the idea that there's like just nothing of value because he goes in looking to poke some holes and have some fun, is like, that's silly. And I don't see why we don't reflect that on Cinema Wins, who goes in looking to like a thing. But that's okay, because it's positive.
Let's say they might just shout plot hole whenever... Here's an example of a plot hole in Blade Runner.
Ooh,
during Batty's final speech to Deckard, he mentions, going to Orion, which is a star system deep in space. Way longer than the 4 years lifespan could ever allow you to travel.
Are you kidding me?
What is the nature of the interstellar travel in Blade Runner's universe?
I was about to ask that question.
That's it. That's what he's got. You're actually joking. I'm so upset. That's the best he can do. That's pathetic. Go home.
Ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion.
Now, some might argue that's a technical plot hole. I argue it doesn't matter.
God.
We're back to...
I was about He got me there for a second. The split second is like, oh, is he going to say, no, we don't know the show? It's like, no, it doesn't matter. It's like, oh,
because the focus on that scene is to show that Batty has seen things, and all these moments will be lost in time.
Well, I mean, but if
that's what he says. The focus of the scene to show. That's what he says. You just stole his words, dude.
Yeah, that's not analysis. That's just reading out a quote. Also, I don't understand this nature. Like, had he, by his metric, right? The point of the scene is to lose the memories. Had Roy said something absurd, this is the same thing we did. It's like the Gambit with TLJ. There are limits I can push it to that would distract you, that would be classified solely as plot issues by you. And it's like, so where's the line? If I had Roy saying, like, I've seen the poop from a chicken on a farm, it was so slushy and beautiful, it's like, that would be weird. Well, we'd be like, what the f*** are you talking about? And then, crank it up to, like, impossible stuff. There are lines he could say that you would feasibly take issue with, even though we understand the point of the scene. This is just writing at this point, which is like there are some lines that work better than others, and I don't see why we're pretending as though like thematically or the experience the character's having completely overrules any and all other analysis of anything else that's happening. That's just silly. It's all cohesive. That's like the point.
I wanna hand this Macbeth, deny him access to the internet, and see what he has to say about it.
Oh, it's not nice.
Like
tears.
No! How dare you stand where he stood?
I mean,
In rain.
And that's compelling. The emotion is compelling.
Oh,
the technical
it is?
details, who cares?
Is
what?
it?
What?
Why is what the did he just? Sorry, I
didn't realize that was compelling.
I clearly misheard him. When
But
he said
I've been told
technical
that it is.
details.
Blade Runner, the most celebrated film of all time, or one of them for its technical details. It doesn't matter.
No, he didn't say that. That's a shared delusion that's like one of those mass hallucinations.
What an
This is
insult.
an auditory hallucination.
Let's go to a different sort
It
of
is.
writing.
And that's
Oh,
compelling.
yeah.
The
think
emotion is
perhaps-
compelling. The technical details, who cares?
Holy I need to stand up.
What? The word
I
choice
need-
is a technical detail. Like, the particular words they have the character say.
Exactly.
Why do you think they chose to have him say the things that he said?
This is what I was talking about. If we'd
Specific-
switched it out for some bullshit that we'd be laughing at, or shit that sounds absolutely impossible, like he said, God, this is almost as memorable as the morning where I just ate a bunch of planets. We'd be like, what?
Yeah.
What are you
What
talking
do
about?
you mean?
Like, what?
But instead, our f***ing plot hole is apparently just assuming that it's impossible for a character to go places in the future in space when there's established, like, some form of space travel within this setting. That's information we don't have.
That's what I was going to say. I don't remember them establishing there's no significant interstellar travel in this
It's
universe.
just decided there isn't.
Yeah, must have compared it to real life, capabilities. Like, how long does it take in light
You should have
years or
watched
something?
You should have watched Patrick Williams' plot holes video. You would have
I
learned.
imagine him looking at the flying cars and being like, hold on, those don't fly in real life. Wait a minute.
Wait. Boo.
The idea is that Batty has seen things, these things matter, and that in a few minutes, it'll be forgotten. The themes
Literally
are more
what he said.
That's the point.
Okay, wait, no.
Needed.
Like, I'll actually go further and say, no, the point
And
is
also-
making Deckard realize something super important in that moment, which is that he's been tasked with hunting a creature that's, for its, lack of humanity, its replicant nature, when he's arguing and successfully pointing out that he's possibly more human than Deckard is.
And add on top of that, that in a certain sense, his existence will not fade into nothingness because his existence has an impact on Deckard.
Especially
It
'cause he just saved
lives
his
on
life.
through him.
Exactly.
So the idea that everything that he's experienced will be lost to time, it's like, yes, but also no, because your influence lives on through people.
It tells
So-
you something about Roy Batty. The fact that he chose to
Yep.
save Deckard and tell him that with the last moments of his
Exactly.
life. This validates his existence in some
And then
way.
as he lets go, the dove ascending into the sky, make of that, what you will.
But
Well,
no,
and
the rain-
thematically
rain
speaking,
doesn't
the
go
whole
away when it falls.
the plot line of the replicants desperately finding any way possible to extend their lives, and you have the visual of Deckard is desperately trying to hang on from falling off the rooftop, and you have Roy Batty deciding, almost in like a godlike creator way, to lift him from potential death, extending his life, right? There's so much to draw from that scene about everything throughout the
Instead,
movie.
He just says what Roy Batty says.
Yeah.
And it's like, we'll see. And this is me explaining how, I've got the deeper insight into this film that these idiots don't have. This is pretty surreal.
It is
Isn't
surreal.
it crazy that Roy can't extend his life, but he can extend Deckard's? Oh, there's a subtle detail there. It's like, no, that's the point, mate.
But as far as I'm concerned, when we talk about all of those things, all of the elements of the writing are supporting it. They're built throughout.
Absolutely.
It is meticulous.
The plot is the reason why this. Yeah, it is weird to say that any element of Blade Runner is irrelevant. Like that it
No,
doesn't
these two
actually-
random guys meet on a rainy rooftop and talk about
Why do they
random
say this
bullshit
like
for
it's
no
a point of
reason.
It just-
praise?
you
Why
just
is it a
denigrate
point of praise to denigrate the work?
Yeah,
Yeah, to just
integrate
say
the
that
craft in
that's
this way
totally
because you say
irrelevant.
that you can just fuck with parts of it and it doesn't matter. As if all of the choices made aren't very particular to do something.
As if it isn't a house of
particular.
cards.
Well, the technical details don't matter, so who cares?
Oh, I get. You can just do whatever then, and it's fine.
You can just do whatever because it's all about themes and subjective flumbos.
Well, I actually think he's from the school of if a character just shouts out the theme at the end, it doesn't matter what the film was. It just that's good enough.
Why have films, really?
Like he's
Why
practically
waste our time?
done
Just tell
that.
me what you want me to think.
He's done that with Blade Runner. He listened to what Roy said, word for word, literally, and then was like, "That is what the film's about." I saw the film. You guys didn't, because you were like, "Oh, the plot." What you guys would say is they went to the building and one of them died.
Please send YouTube video essayists to a literature class, please.
That's what they want to do to everyone else, though. It's the crazy thing.
Worse. You have to disconnect them from things, not attach more.
Wow, you guys sound pissed off about this. He's basically guiding people into misunderstanding Blade Runner and just not thinking about media.
He said the technical details of Blade Runner don't matter. F that.
Wow, it's annoying when someone is smugly incorrect. I thought this was not a new discovery. I thought this was well understood that when someone is smug about being wrong, it tends to get a bit grating for people listening to them being wrong.
Especially if it's about made up people he hasn't shown us yet.
Powerful than the technical elements of the plot. But if you approached every film like a CinemaSins ticker,
fuck off.
Who does it?
Say, oh, it'd
be more
bad.
entertaining.
Who cares?
No, well, I mean, CinemaSins videos are better than this.
It can be, CinemaSins sometimes says things that are correct and insightful. He just does. He's really spotty, very scattershot track record, but he does say things that make you go, huh, good point, interesting.
Here
How
and
the
there,
channel
it'll
took
happen.
off in a way.
Hey, even Cinema wins when he clearly copies and pastes a top 10 things you didn't know about Puss in Boots: The Last Wish into his video. Those things are interesting if you didn't know them. About the subtleties of symbolism. He'll have it in there, and it'll be like, oh, neat. Let me see a video on how Cinema Wins is ruining film praise by being like, oh, I like this actor. Ding. Oh, this is a thing I recognize. Ding. You know,
16 seconds of credits. Ding.
Yeah.
Say, oh, plot hole, this movie's bad. Like, who cares? Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter? What Matt?
Why are you allowed to just say that part of the craft that went into making it just doesn't matter?
Yeah, they cared about it, mate.
Disrespectful.
So,
yeah, tell that to the filmmakers. Oh, this thing you tried to make properly, that didn't matter.
It is really bizarre how many video essayists will try to praise something essentially by dismissing aspects of the craft.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I'm the positive one. I'm doing the positive thing by denying the work. And it's like, why? Because you don't like to have those conversations. Like, you don't enjoy it. You find it difficult, and so then you'd rather just dismiss an entire aspect of the craft.
It's worth remembering too. The context for what he's saying right now is he believes this straw man makes the video where they don't talk about anything on that infamously amazing scene because they're like, well, at one point he references going to Orion, which isn't possible. That he envisions this video exists out there. That someone did this.
Because you would think if there would be a video, you would have probably... I feel like you would have seen something like this online, found it, watched it, as I just said 2 times. I don't know why I said it 3 times. And it's like, oh, that's stupid. Let me make a video about this thing. Now I have a thing to reference, and I'm just going to put it in my video after I've done this. But this is just like, oh, I just made up this... I don't know, this community of YouTubers that only talks about plots and doesn't engage with anything, but I do. It's like, oh, give me, again, examples. I want examples. I don't believe you that those people exist.
And I just want him to go up to all these people and tell them they shouldn't be focusing on plot in any way, shape, or form. It's a waste of time. Nobody cares about it. Stop.
Every time they say something about characters, just say, stop focusing on plot.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. It's like, whatever.
It doesn't affect your enjoyment.
It doesn't affect your
enjoyment. What if it does? What if it does?
Nothing makes sense and everything's a contradiction and it's Mad World in there, then I'm like, no,
and if it does
totally
affect your enjoyment, would you say, well, your feeling on that is wrong?
Apparently.
What you felt, that it didn't feel
true.
good to you, that's wrong. That is an incorrect feeling that you're having. It's indicative of some deeper personal problem that you have with trying to prove to the world how right you are. You got to
is a
stop
huge-
it. You need to get help.
It is a
It's like,
massive
okay.
red flag when someone's like, "Oh, you care about things making sense." Oh, you shouldn't.
Yeah, and again,
Like,
what if it's like,
I
oh,
don't, so you
I think this
shouldn't.
movie isn't very good, but I still enjoy watching it. What now? Is your head gonna explode if that happens to you?
Oh no.
How does he respond to the idea of maybe us telling him, like, I do care about the plot. I do care about it making sense.
Yeah.
It helps me connect with the story that's being told.
And the wizard says, and when Rag says that, it's not because he needs to prove how right he is to the universe. He means it.
You know,
Then what?
this reminds me of, I'd mentioned on, I think, Open Bar that when my sister last visited, we watched T2, and she did the thing, and I was just enjoying it as it was happening, because she hadn't seen it in a while, where Sarah is going to stay behind when John is pushed forward to fight the T-1000 in the Steelworks refinery, whatever it is. She's got, I think it's, you know, there's a point where he's gone because he's fighting the T-800, and you have Sarah starts putting the shots into the Spaz-12, and my sister noted, like, I think 6 shots. She's like, so she's only got 6, huh? Unless, of course, it's, like, inaccurate, because they could happen with movies where they just have a mysterious amount of shots, whatever. She shoots 7, and my sister was like, oh, I guess 1 extra, whoops. And I was like, no, don't you remember? She was popping one in, and she dropped it when the T-1000 was coming toward her, so she went and picked it back up. That's what you would infer.
Mm-hmm.
That's the 7th shot.
Same thing with the grenades on the belt at the end. They use the last one to knock them back. And it's like the little things like that, like when she has the 1911 that's loaded, the appropriate amount of shots, and
and someone could be like, none of that matters. And it'd be like, it doesn't harm the movie to get that shit right, does it?
It creates something that didn't otherwise exist. It literally creates tension, knowing that the stakes are, you have 7 shotgun shells, so when you get to that 7th and you shoot, now the power dynamics have completely changed in the scene. You're out of ammunition. And if you know that's coming, it creates that sense of, like, foreboding dread, like, oh shit, you will run out of ammo soon. That experience, that feeling doesn't exist in media where everyone's just shooting. No one's doing any reloading. Ammo's an infinite supply. Boo, 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 boo. It literally doesn't exist in those movies. You've created a subjective experience, which he said is the most important thing. The thing that you feel, that was only there because there was a link, a logical link that made sense in the material.
Didn't you criticize CinemaSins in The Last Wish about why he doesn't just Puss doesn't just beat death as he has him cornered? Probably. That sounds like something really dumb to say about the events of that movie. Why doesn't Puss just beat death like that?
Listen, CinemaSins said a lot of things.
Yeah, we disagree with CinemaSins significantly. This is why it's always awkward whenever we have to defend him, because we're not his biggest fans, not even close. Okay.
Nope.
And also, there's a Bob Vids on CinemaSins. Yeah, as I mentioned that earlier, there's a clip of it from this video, which is much better than this. You should much more likely check that out before this. This video is terrible. Yeah, I'm glad he's let us know how thoroughly capable of reviewing possibly one of the most discussed films of all time, where everything is set for you. You don't even have to creatively come up with like in-depth takes on Blade Runner. Everyone has talked about this film.
Oh yeah, you could just watch other people's movies and come up with an excellent video essay or discussion about it without you ever having to have seen it. All the information's there. There's so much out there.
I don't know why he saved my life. Maybe in those last
God, this sucks.
Right. Moments he loved life more than he ever had before.
Part of the reason why the question if Deckard is a replicant annoys me is because people get caught up in the technicalities and not the why.
All
right, before
this is a failure. This is a failure.
Rags, we don't know
the discussion
yet,
of whether he is a replicant is incredibly meaningful to anyone who loves the film, because it's going to change the perception of the meaning behind everything in the film. And that is not me saying it makes it less or more, I'm saying it makes it different. It will change your perception of events. That's simply how it will work. That's why it's so important to everybody. This is not a, did the blaster have on the high setting or low sort of situation? Was the numbers accurate? This is not petty. This is incredibly meaningful.
Question being unanswered is so important because it forces audiences to question human nature.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you can't talk about it and speculate on what the story means with one or the other.
That's the point.
Well, why
of
would there even be a
question?
question?
That's what you do with it. You speculate.
When people talk about whether or not he is a replicant, they reference the plot and the elements of character and the details of the movie. They're not just saying, well, you just feel it. Maybe some people do, but they're not worth your time. But they reference
it is a thoroughly worthwhile conversation, one of my favorite ones to have about that movie, because it does change everything that you perceive in terms of the events of every decision Deckard makes and everyone around him, whether or not they're aware or what they think about him. There's so much to talk about, and then all of it is reflective of what you fundamentally believe makes you human, makes you a person, which is a topic I'm particularly fond of, especially with stuff like Soma and other things.
Yay, Soma.
As they say in the film,
it's too bad she won't live.
Copyright.
It is too bad that she won't live. That is, it's something to. It's too bad. That's a lot of lights on that police vehicle. It's almost an absurd amount of lights on the top of it.
They all mean something different in this universe. They're very important.
Christmas over there.
But then they want to get seen for sure.
Is it Vangelis or Vangelis?
I was
Vangelis, as far as I know.
literally about to say the same thing. I was about to say the same thing.
We're two of spirit.
Yes, that's right.
now that question,
but wait, no, it's seriously, which one is it?
Vangelis is what I've always known it to be.
Oh, I always
Vangelis.
Okay,
I thought it was
saying it
Vangelis.
wrong for a long time. Yeah.
Okay, because I think of the Latin.
I'm always a fan when people say it's pronounced just his name.
Like, Angelus,
got it.
Well, it's interesting
Vangelis.
because I'm seeing a lot of people disagreeing with you in chat.
No, it's just Vangelis. Like,
I don't know.
I see it and I think Vangelis, but that's just.
I'm not calling it Vangelis because I think that's intuitive. That's what I was told at a certain point, and it stuck. So that's all I got for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
question is more profound than an hour-long fan theory video breaking down the evidence for this theory.
That's cool.
Wait,
let
what?
them do it. Let them look at all the evidence. Let them be nerds.
Let them have fun.
Yeah.
Let them have fun,
That's
alright?
what should be meaningful about
It's time to let the children play.
You are the guy yelling, "Stop having fun."
Yeah.
That's you. You think
That's
you're
you.
not. You think you're the guy playing the video game, but that's not the case. You're
Nope.
the guy yelling at them to stop having
You're
fun.
the guy yelling. Yes.
Can you
I
imagine
wish that
you're
I could pop up and give you the thumbs up, but you suck too much for that. You
You're
have to be
half an hour
the
deep
world has
into a
to know.
conversation about whether or not Deckard is a replicant, or like, you know, any big hanging question in any film. Like, I don't know, the ending of The Thing as well. Either like you're just, and then this guy just walks in and is like, "Yeah, but does it matter though? It's supposed to be ambiguous." It's like, yeah, I know it's ambiguous, dickhead.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's
That's
why
why
we're talking about it.
discussing it.
If it was unambiguous, what does that
And
mean?
we'd all be agreeing on what the ending
Imagine
was.
going to the filmmaker again. Like it's like always like a good example. Like going to the filmmaker, it's like, oh, we're not going to talk about the ending because it's supposed to be ambiguous. It's like, wait, what? No, you talk about it. That's why we did it that way. What do you think? It's like, no, it's fine. It's better that way. Just walks away.
He started this movie talking about, oh, the director of Kong sure does hate CinemaSins. And I'm thinking, what would the director of Blade Runner, whatever his name is, what would he think of this guy? Like, fuck me. You'd be like, why do you hate my movie in art? Why do you hate everything? Who are you?
What is this guy's like?
What are those
public
creatures on your
experience?
shelf?
What is his public experience of art? Like, does he, after watching a film and talking about it with his friends, I presume he has some friends, like, what does that conversation look like? What do they talk about?
I just love the idea that after watching Blade Runner,
passerby,
his friend is like, I'm not sure if Deckard might be a replicant, and he's just like, stop, dude.
It's really angry about it. It's
Can
stop.
you please talk about the
Why would
movie?
you ask that? What's wrong with you?
Get out of my house.
Get out of my basement apartment.
The theory is told in brushstrokes on a canvas, not a chart. It's impressionistic, not concrete.
Oh God!
What does any of that mean?
What?
Tell me. Explain to me
mouth.
what you mean by this. Like I'm 5.
I can look at strokes on a canvas and be like, and have thoughts about them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you can
Strokes on a
reference things
canvas
that are
can be
actually
shit.
there. You can be like, this makes me think this in reference
That's
to
where
this.
the interpretation of art comes from. The art is a necessary part of it. Why is
No.
this so hard? The idea that
Also-
the art is a part of my interpretation and experience of the art.
And stop denigrating charts. They're very useful and
Yeah.
they're
Pretty
for conveying and establishing information. I love charts.
Go charts.
Go charts. Go charts. What was that?
That sounded like a phone message thing.
Yeah.
It sounded like someone dropped something into their kookaburra mug.
So was
No,
that,
my kookaburra mug is sitting over here. I didn't drop anything into it.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
someone said, Mola, heads up, the guy dissed John Carpenter's The Thing. Joke's on you. I already assume he doesn't like good films.
We learned that a long time ago.
That's that line.
And that's also
That
not a
is-
joke
that
on
is,
us. That's his
That
joke
is
on
that
humanity.
is crazy. Actually, that is he. Oh my god.
Oh,
Gonna
whatever.
swing on the thing. Good luck. Good luck.
Hello, you just listened to a segment of the podcast Every Frame a Pause, or EFAP. Hosted by YouTubers Mauler, Rags, and Fringy, and joined by a cycling variety of guests across the internet, they critically analyze media with exhaustive detail while pausing at every single frame. Subscribe to the EFAP channel and catch new episodes on Saturdays, as well as catch their smaller videos reacting to the latest and not-so-greatest movies and TV shows throughout the week. You can also subscribe here to EFAP highlights for the latest shorts, clips, and supercuts, also uploaded throughout the week. Links to all the relevant channels can be found in the description section below, as well as links to their communities on Reddit and Discord. Thanks for watching.